This is the story of Ali Aidar from Delhi. Ali says he is now about 55 years old, but when this story happened, he was 19. His father had a friend named Tariq. Out of all his father's friends, Tariq Sahib was the one his father loved, respected, and admired the most. Tariq often visited their home and was a remarkable, elderly personality, standing out among all his father's friends. He was quite elderly but had a close, friendly bond with my father. He was a very refined person, always holding prayer beads in his hand. He had a white beard, a glowing face, and such captivating eyes that even today, when I remember him, his radiant face appears before my eyes. More than that, the story he told that day still stays with me. My father had sent me to get some groceries, and when I came back inside, my father was requesting him, saying, "I've heard this story from somewhere, but today I want to hear it from you. If you don't mind, can you share that secret from your life with us?" Tariq thought for a while. He smiled and said, "Yes, I rarely share this with anyone. But I care for you so much, I'll definitely tell you." And so, sitting there, he told a story that still makes me tremble with fear at the age of 55. He stayed silent for a while, as if gathering his thoughts. When Tariq began to speak, he said, "I was a cheerful young man who loved joking around and making people laugh, but I was always careful never to hurt anyone's feelings. I just wanted my jokes to make others happy and brighten their day. After finishing my education, I took a job at a government office. All my colleagues liked me very much. I was very brave and fearless. But I had this playful nature, always joking and pulling pranks, and everyone enjoyed it a lot. Wherever I went, I became the life of the gathering. So my parents decided on my marriage to a distant village where our close relatives lived. My father had already chosen the place for my wedding. When they told me, I bowed my head and said, 'Whatever you think is best, you have my full consent.' So I brought home a bride I had never even seen before. It was a village 400 kilometers from Delhi where my wedding procession went, and that bride, on the first night, the wedding night. They say that when I lifted her veil for the first time, I saw that my parents' choice was truly amazing. She was not only as beautiful as they had promised, but also had a good character. After marriage, my life changed. Instead of spending time with friends, I would come home. I had 4 sisters, all already married, and I was the youngest among these siblings. So, it was just my parents, my wife, and me in the house. A few years after marriage, Allah blessed us with our first daughter, then a son, and then another daughter. Now I was the father of 3 children. Because I was a government employee, I'd take my kids to my in-laws' house once a year during summer vacations. When we arrived, everyone would welcome us with so much excitement, especially the kids' grandmother, who would be eagerly waiting. I'd stay for a day or 2, then leave the kids there for 3 months and return. They'd spend their holidays there, and we'd come back. This time, I took 3 days off from work because the kids' vacations had started and we were heading to my in-laws. My eldest daughter was 8 years old. All 3 kids and my wife set off with me. When we reached the village, we had to get there early since the bus dropped us about 50 minutes away. There, We had to take a tonga or some ride for the next 50 minutes, and if you arrived late by bus, walking was really tough. The 50-minute distance was on foot, but any ride would get you there in 20 minutes. I'd experienced this once before. When the bus was late, I had to walk the whole way because there was no transport. This time, when we reached the village, the usual warm welcome was missing. There was sadness and worry instead. Neither my brothers-in-law nor my mother-in-law greeted us warmly, and my father-in-law had passed away. I wondered what had happened. Why wasn't there the usual excitement? The kids were happy, excited for a month's stay, but my wife and I both noticed something was off. I asked my mother-in-law, "Is everything okay? You all seem very worried." She replied, "Yes, it's something serious." I asked what happened, and she said, "Tariq, son, our village has been attacked by ghosts and witches." I laughed out loud at the mention of ghosts and witches, but my mother-in-law went completely silent. I realized my laughter had upset her, so I controlled myself and apologized. "Sorry, please go on." She said, "This isn't a joke. The whole village is very troubled. It's been a month, maybe a month and a half. Some strange calamity has taken over the village. You can't even imagine. 4 or 5 children have already fallen victim to it." "Victim to what?" I asked, and she replied. She said, "It's a cat-like creature, but its size is like a lion, tall and broad, but it looks like a pitch-black cat. Cats are never as big as lions, but this one is. It has killed and drunk the blood of children in the village. It's even tried to attack adults. People have tried to kill it, but it vanishes into thin air whenever someone tries. It's like an illusion." I wanted to laugh again, thinking what kind of story is this, but I asked, "Does it only attack children, or has it harmed adults too?" My mother-in-law replied, "It has harmed adults as well." I said, "Do you really believe in such things these days? Maybe it's some wild animal or a cruel person, but you all just call it a monster. It just disappears, that's all." I was speaking sarcastically. Then my brother-in-law spoke up. "No, Mom is telling the truth. The whole village is terrified. The graveyard is deserted. As soon as evening comes, before it's even fully dark, everyone locks themselves inside. Kids have stopped going out to play. Mothers, sisters, brothers, all look worried. The children are really scared." He asked, "You've seen our village graveyard, right?" I said yes. He continued, "There's a forest-like area next to it, full of trees." He said, "That's where the witches and ghosts live." I replied, "All right, let's see," still finding it funny and treating it like a joke. After our long journey, we ate and I went to sleep. When I woke up, it was time for ASR prayer. I went to the village mosque, prayed, and while doing tasbih, I noticed the villagers looked worried and scared. They weren't talking much and left quickly after praying. It started to seem like something serious was going on. Anyway, I went home and played with my kids, who showed no signs of fear at all. After dinner, since everyone sleeps early, I went up to the roof. My wife put the kids to bed, locked the door, and told me not to go outside. I asked why, but she insisted. I told her to put the kids to sleep and I'd join soon, then went to lie on the roof. Soon, she came up and said, "Suntain, we should leave. We shouldn't stay here." I sat up, surprised, and asked what happened. I told her not to worry. These are simple, loving villagers, and someone must have spread fear. It's not hard to find out the truth, so don't be scared. She sat with me, still worried. She said, "I don't know why, but my heart feels really anxious and scared. We shouldn't stay here with the kids. Let's leave in the morning." I reassured her, saying these are just old stories. There's no such thing as ghosts or monsters. I told her to relax, lock the door well, and sleep inside if she was scared. I loved the open village air and reminded her how happy the kids get here, away from city noise and pollution. She went to put the kids to bed inside, and everyone locked their rooms, while I stayed on the roof on my bed. I slept peacefully on the roof. In the morning, everything was normal, nothing unusual happened. I went downstairs. The kids and my wife were already up. After breakfast, I thought I should investigate what's really going on. Around 10 a.m., I left the house and walked to the old, deserted graveyard just outside the village. There was a hand pump used for water during burials, so I drank from it and sat there for a while. The graveyard was surrounded by trees. Birds were chirping on the trees, and everything was quiet. I didn't feel anything strange. Some old graves looked like someone, or maybe an animal, had tried to dig them up. Stray dogs, wolves, or other wild animals could have done that. I left the graveyard to check out the dense forest nearby. The forest was thick and had that natural feeling all forests have, but nothing unusual. There are snakes and scorpions in that forest, and other dangerous animals too. I did feel some fear, thinking maybe a wild animal like a wolf is behind all this and the villagers are just scared. I stayed in the forest for a while, then went home. At lunch, my mother-in-law asked where I'd been. I told her I checked out the graveyard and forest, but everything seemed normal. She pleaded with me not to go out again, saying the whole village is terrified. Didn't I notice how empty the roads were? She asked if I saw anyone on the way, and I realized she was right. I hadn't seen a single person, which was unusual. Normally, you'd run into someone and exchange greetings, but today the roads were empty. She explained that all the village men gather at the big school to spend their time there. I agreed to check it out, so after a while, I headed to the school. It was a large building with a big ground and shady trees along the walls, where everyone was sitting. Groups of people were sitting together, elders in one area, and young men playing cards in another. Everyone greeted me warmly since I visit every year and am well known in the village. I joined the card game, and as we played, talk about the mysterious, evil presence started up again, right as I was winning my round. I joked about winning the game and asked everyone to finally explain what this evil is. Everyone stared at me, surprised I still didn't believe in it. Then Shaukat, who wasn't playing and looked upset, spoke up, saying he personally experienced it and lost everything because of it. I got serious and asked him what happened. He began. The first incident happened to a child no one really knew. One evening, a 6-year-old boy was playing outside like usual. When all the kids went home, he didn't return. His mother called for him, searched the neighbors' houses, but no one had seen him. She kept asking from house to house, but her son was nowhere to be found. Everyone in the village joined the search, going from house to house, but the boy was nowhere to be found. The whole village was worried. People didn't even eat dinner that night. By midnight, the search was called off until morning, and the boy's mother spent the night crying in distress. At dawn, villagers resumed the search. Near the graveyard, they found the boy's lifeless body by a grave, completely drained of blood, as if something had shaken him violently in one night. The village was terrified, and after his burial, everyone gathered in shock, wondering what kind of creature or force could have done this. 3 days later, another child disappeared and was found dead in the graveyard, also drained of blood and with the flesh from his neck missing. Panic swept the village. Parents stopped letting kids play outside, and everyone started locking doors and keeping watch at night. Shaukat said he also stayed up guarding his children, especially around 2 a.m. Shaukat said he woke up to the sound of bones crunching, like a dog chewing on a bone. He saw a huge, pitch-black cat, almost lion-sized, hovering over his kids' bed. When he shouted, the creature grabbed his son and vanished, despite everyone chasing after it. The creature disappeared with his son. The other child was found dead, just like those in the graveyard. Shaukat described the beast as cat-like but lion-sized, with strange eyes and thick fur, neither a cat nor a lion, but something bizarre and terrifying. The whole village was now in deep fear, and Shaukat was left in shock for days, unable to function properly. After Shaukat's story, everyone started sleeping indoors and locking up, but the creature still managed to enter Farad's house one night. It killed his children, drank their blood, and left without a trace. Farad Sahib woke up, found the door open, and realized he was stepping in a pool of blood on the floor. Farad found his children's bodies covered in blood, with flesh missing, just like the earlier victims. This wasn't just 2 incidents. Now, 6 to 7 kids from different homes had been killed the same way. The whole village was terrified, and even spiritual healers said these were evil or supernatural forces at work. The villagers learned the creature lived in the jungle and graveyard, and was too powerful for any spiritual healer to remove. Only men dared go outside in daylight, and everyone felt trapped, unable to leave their land or find help. Now, the whole village just hoped for a miracle or someone to save them. The villagers have been living in fear for over a month, with more children falling victim to the creature. Shaukat was heartbroken, crying non-stop as he shared his story. Everyone was deeply shaken, and the fear felt very real. The village is desperate for help, feeling hopeless and trapped by this nightmare. One night, some brave men from the city with guns kept watch on the rooftops. Around 2 to 3 a.m., they spotted the creature, just as Shaukat Sahib described, and shot at it, hitting their target. Despite being shot, the creature didn't fall, leaving everyone shocked and even more scared. The sharpshooter hit the creature with a bullet, but it vanished instantly and wasn't seen again that night. Yet, the very next night, another child was attacked, proving bullets and sticks had no effect on it. The villagers realized this was a supernatural force. Only divine help could save them now. After hearing all these stories, you felt deeply disturbed and scared, no longer finding the tales funny. You decided to keep your kids close and stay awake on the rooftop, planning to leave the village with your family the next morning. The fear was so real that protecting your children became your only priority. You arranged your kids around you, determined to protect them, and stayed awake all night, heart racing with worry. Your love for your children made you extra alert, but exhaustion finally caught up and you dozed off for a moment. That's when something strange started to happen as you drifted into sleep. You accidentally dozed off, and suddenly woke to the chilling sound of bones being chewed. Looking over, you saw a huge, black, panther-like creature hunched over your daughter Dusna, biting her neck. The terror was overwhelming as you realized the nightmare was real and happening right beside you. You couldn't believe you'd fallen asleep while guarding your kids, only to wake up to a terrifying sight, a huge, black, glowing creature biting your daughter's neck. Its fur shimmered strangely and its face, though beastly, had disturbingly human-like, mysterious eyes. Your scream startled the creature, and in that moment, you saw pure evil staring back at you. The creature had a face like a mix between a monkey and a human, with devilish eyes. When you screamed, it leapt onto the roof and vanished. You rushed to your daughter. Her neck was torn. She tried to speak but could only make a rattling sound as others ran up to help. You realized your daughter's injuries were fatal, and the creature had already killed your other two children by severing their necks. The horror and shock made you and your wife faint as the family tried to help. The scene was devastating. Your world turned completely dark in that moment. The next day, you were barely conscious as people asked if you wanted your children buried locally or in the city. You chose to bury them there, numb with grief, and couldn't leave their graves, feeling no fear of death anymore. Even as family tried to bring you home, you just wanted to stay by your children's side. You stayed by your children's graves, reciting Quran and weeping, refusing to leave despite everyone's pleas. Your wife was in shock, and your family eventually convinced you to return home. The tragedy left your life empty, and what you once thought was a joke turned into your worst nightmare. Your world was shattered, and you wandered in grief, eyes empty and lost. One day, while sitting at a shrine, a kind-looking old man in white with a staff gently placed his hand on your shoulder. He noticed your deep sorrow and approached you with compassion. The old man comforted you, telling you to have patience and strength, acknowledging your immense pain. His gentle touch made you cry deeply, finally easing your heart a little. When you begged him for help and said you wanted revenge for your children, he asked what you truly wanted. You pleaded for revenge, but the old man warned it would be very difficult and painful, requiring great courage and endurance. He explained that many have tried but failed, and asked if you were truly ready for such a challenge. You replied that the fire of grief would consume you anyway, so you'd rather try for revenge. The old man agreed to help but told you that for revenge, you must do a 41-day spiritual retreat. During this, you'd witness terrifying things, face isolation, eat less, avoid people, sleep by day, and perform rituals at night. He warned you'd need immense strength, as you'd be facing a very powerful, supernatural world. The old man gave you an amulet and told you to wear it around your neck during the 41 nights. He warned that evil forces would try to snatch it. If you lost it, You'd die, but if you kept it, they couldn't harm you. You'd face extreme fear, temptations, and exhaustion, but the amulet would protect you as long as you held on. You accepted the challenge, took the amulet, and listened carefully to all the instructions for the 41 spiritual retreat. The old man guided you with detailed advice, sensing your pain and determination. You thanked him, went home, and applied for 2 months' leave from work to begin your spiritual battle. You rushed to finish your work so you could start your leave, but then received heartbreaking news. Your wife had passed away in the village, unable to bear the pain of losing your children. You left everything behind and hurried home, finding her body waiting for you. The grief just kept piling up for you. You were overwhelmed by grief, crying uncontrollably as your wife was buried. You asked everyone to leave so you could sit alone by your loved ones' graves, lost in memories and pain. The silence of the evening deepened your sorrow as you longed for your family. You spent hours crying at the graves, barely aware of anything around you. After the funeral rituals, you decided to begin your 41 spiritual retreat right there among your family's graves, determined to fight back against the evil that destroyed your life. As night fell and you started your recitations, you suddenly remembered to check your pocket for the amulet. You realized you'd left the amulet at home and panicked, worried it might get washed away with old clothes. Just as you rushed to get it, a voice called out, ending this part of the story and teasing that the real horror and bravery are just beginning. The next part promises even more intense twists. When someone stops caring about their own life, they become ready for anything, even tests than they imagine. The real challenges are just beginning, and things will get much harder for him in part 2. Stay tuned for the next part.